Oh, yeah. Yes. Oh, man. Woo. Man, I'm jacked up today. I am jacked up today. Man, you know, we are less than 1 month away. Less than 1 month away from the NFL draft. I'm going to be live for the draft. So tune in here come draft time. Talk NFL draft. Bufa's going to be here. He's going to be with me the whole first round. So Thursday, April 27th, tune in here. I need to start advertising that. Let people know. Funk says next month's going to take forever. He's listening. He's doing family stuff. Don't blame him. Don't blame him. So last week I was feeling a little under the weather, and I wanted to do a draft video, but I wanted to do something a little different. So over the next 3 days, I'm gonna put together a new mock draft. It's going to be longer because I want to go into a little more detail. I threw some picks. I thought some were going to be curveballs that people didn't mention, but Christian Gonzalez going to the Raiders at 7 made a lot of sense. I really kind of wanted to talk about that. I didn't think that I thought it was a real curveball because they really need some help on the defense. Front seven. I mean, they had 27 sacks. Max Crosby had 12.5. But I look at that secondary. I'm like, the secondary's terrible. I got a lot of people didn't like Devin Witherspoon going to Detroit at 6. I get that. I completely get that, but it made sense. But John Robinson at 20 to Seattle. I firmly believe Seattle will draft a running back. It's something that they've done quite a bit. I just think if he's available at 20, and by the way, I love John Robinson, but yeah. So my boy Chad, yes, I'm here, brother. Live, yes, I'm going to be live. Bufa's going to be here. I'm going to be here. I have not reached out to anybody else, but I'm going to try to get some other guests on. Maybe not do. I told Bufa, he's like 6 hours. He's like, Dan, I'm going to do I'm going to have a bottle of scotch. I'm going to be there all 6 hours. And Booth's going to do shots. So actually, I made that up, but I'm going to see if I can talk him into maybe doing some shots. I don't know where he's going to have some fun. Yeah, man, I'm going to be live. Denver Gator, man, I am so glad to see you, brother. You know what? I do want to talk about your boy, Anthony Richardson. He had the pro day. I did not watch the whole thing, seen lots and lots and lots of highlights, and I want to go over that at least sometime today. I hate the NFL, man. I'm glad to see you here. I am glad to see you here, brother. Talking is hard. Dan, the more people I talk to who deal with the Chiefs keep telling me the Chiefs aren't staying at 31 because they believe there's only 16 to 17 first rounders and they want one of them. Yes, actually, that's a great starting point because I'm going to go over a few things here. I think that there's several teams in this draft that want to trade up. And I think there's several teams that are going to trade down. I think we're going to see some action in the first round. So I'm going to start off. On my mock drafts, there's no trades. Okay? There's no trades in any of my mock drafts. But this may wait till draft day. But I firmly believe when everything's said and done, the Colts and Cardinals are going to flip picks 3 and 4. Okay? I think the Colts are going to trade from 4 to 3. It may not be a lot. I think a trade's actually already been talked about. Arizona desperately wants to trade down. As a matter of fact, I think Arizona wants to trade down. I think Detroit at 6 wants to trade down. I think Vegas at 7 could possibly trade down. I think they want to because they need help on all 3 levels of that defense. I think Atlanta at 8 could trade down, and Philly at 10 definitely wants to trade down. New England at 14 wants to trade down. Okay. Now, if you think there's another team, I'm telling you right now, I think Arizona and Indianapolis are going to flip-flop picks. When everything's said and done, I think the Colts are going to pick 3rd. I think Arizona's going to pick 4th. I think Detroit really wants to trade down at 6 and maybe again at 18. Maybe again at 18, but I think they really want to trade down at 6. Vegas and Atlanta, I think could also be interested in trading down, but Philly and New England definitely want to trade down at 10 and 14. Now, Philly's strange because I can see Philly trading up at 30, having some fun, but I think they want to trade down from 10. When I look at the Eagles, I don't think they really need a top 10 pick, but they may want to go from 30 to maybe into 20s. They might have some fun there. New England at 14, I would almost bet money on's going to trade down. AR heard leave this hit the roof of the facility, so he did just to prove it was nothing special. LOL. All right. Man, Denver Gator, don't hate me. I think Anthony Richardson's pro day, I would give it a C-, maybe a D+. And I don't think he had a particularly good pro day. As a matter of fact, if I was an NFL team, I would actually not like his pro day. And the reason why is that I already knew he had a big arm. I already knew he could do everything that I saw at the pro day, but he had a lot of throws that should have been layups, gimmies that he made look hard. There was one particular, it was a 10-yard out where the receiver had to jump up in the air and do one of these numbers. That you can't do that if you're an NFL starting quarterback. You can't miss on those. And here's the thing, it was a catch. It was a nice catch, but he looked very inaccurate. If you go back, you watch his pro day, he had a lot of throws that he looked wildly inaccurate. Accuracy is the number one thing you need from an NFL quarterback. And I'm stealing this from Good Morning Football. Jason McCourty said this. I'm regurgitating it. He said, he makes very difficult things look easy, and he makes very easy things look difficult. He does not look like a guy that can come into the NFL and hit 6 out of 10 passes in the NFL. That's 60%. The way the NFL is set up is that you should be, all NFL quarterbacks at this point in time should be able to throw a 65% complete. I don't think Richardson can do that. Richardson's accuracy looks like it's really lacking. I knew he had a big arm. I knew he could run. I knew that he could do those backflips. I knew all that stuff. He made some of those layup passes. Here's the deal. When you are hitting a receiver, you need to hit him in stride. And almost none of those throws look like he's hitting somebody in stride. I'm going to let you know a secret. I really think that what's going to happen is, and I've been doing this, if you watched any of my mock drafts, you can check out the latest one below. It's a great video. I think 1 and 2 is going to be CJ Stroud and Bryce Young, and you can pick whichever one. I've been mocking CJ Stroud because I just got a feeling Frank Reich's going to like Stroud more than Young. That's just my opinion. I think the Colts are going to pick 3rd when everything's said and done. And I think they're going to take Anthony Richardson. And I think that they'll have like a package, like a 2-point play. Maybe they'll have him come in on a series. Maybe they'll use him as a wildcat. Maybe they'll even put him in and line him up at wide receiver. He does not look ready to play day one at all. And his pro day kind of showed that. So, But that's kind of what I'm looking at when the NFL draft. I really think you're going to see 3 quarterbacks off the board, 1, 2, and 3. And I think it's going to be Stroud, number 1 to Carolina. I think Houston's going to take Bryce Young, and I think Anthony Richardson will go 3rd overall, and I think he'll go to the Colts at 3. And he won't play right away. Will Levis, on the other hand, I don't know where he'll end up. My latest mock draft, which please check it out below. I had him going to Tampa Bay at 19. Now, I think that Tampa Bay is one of a handful of teams that wants to trade up. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. Andrew Tate has been released from jail, him and his brother Tristan. And I mean, you know, big fan of both those guys. Big fan of both those guys. It's good news. There's a large part of me that wonders if I should talk about more stuff like that that's non-related to football, but as of right now, I'm not. But this is good news, yeah. Unpopular opinion, I think Carter is a bust. Could be wrong, though. And there, you know, seriously, yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. I've seen players like that. You know, I've seen a lot of defensive tackles and defensive ends become busts in the NFL that look dominant in college. You know, yeah, I get it. I do think Tampa Bay is one of a few teams that want to trade up. Okay. I personally think that Tampa Bay, if Will Levis falls, I think they could trade up. I think I could see them trading up to Philly at 10. I think Tampa Bay, New England, a flip there makes a lot of sense. I could see Tampa Bay jumping up to 14. I could see New England dropping back to 19. So I thought about it. I actually have been thinking about it. I actually thought about it, but I love football. I actually was thinking about doing a separate channel, just talking about NFL history, because I love history. I want to do more top 10 lists, but I decided that I'm just going to stick with this. And I thought about doing that. Just talking about topics like this. A lot of channels that I follow actually aren't football channels, believe it or not. And a lot of them talk about content like the Tate brothers and kind of men. I call it men's self-development. You may have heard the term red pill. I thought about talking about a lot of that stuff, but I just, football's the one thing I absolutely know about, and some of this other stuff, I don't. So that's kind of why. I have no issues with him making mistakes. My issue is that he loves football. I'm not really sure. That's about. I mean, that's something that teams need to evaluate, and this is kind of the most. Here's the deal: the combine, where the players talk to the teams, that's almost more important than actual what's on the tape, because you get to find out some things. I released a short. I don't know if you saw it. It was Max Duggan, the TCU quarterback. I released a whiteboard that he had with Mariucci. Mariucci's just snickering because he just aced it. I mean, he aces this. I seriously thought Duggan could go undrafted, but I was thinking probably 5th, 6th, 7th round. I'm thinking he probably goes like 4th round after just that the whiteboard he did with Mariucci. I think that alone puts him maybe third or 4th round. I mean, he has just aced it. I started watching some more film on him. When Luke G was on here, me and Luke G did a lot of talking about Tyree Wilson, and he's like, Dan, I'm not a fan. There's a lot of things I don't like. But what you have to understand is that what NFL teams look at is they look at what he can do, and they look at the positives. And the things that Tyree Wilson does well is very impressive. Dude, 6'6", 270, and his movement, his body control is just insane. I mean, he moves like somebody who's much smaller, but he also, yes, but he's also very strong. This is a guy that I really could see if he was healthy. I could see Arizona just saying, we're going to put him at defensive end. He's pick at number 3. I think that Arizona, after they trade down from 3 to 4, I think that they may try to trade down some more, but I don't think they will. I think they're going to just pick at 4. I am really curious about that as well. I'm really curious about that as well, Funk. Funk says he's still waiting on the foot report. Here's what I heard is that the doctor cleared him. He didn't participate at the pro day, which is really bothersome because, I mean, he hasn't done anything for like 5 or 6 months. And is this something that's going to keep occurring? Is this a guy that, hey, look, 4 to 6 weeks out of the year, he's not going to play. But the power shows up. For me, I know you're looking. One Pride says he's very strong and still very raw. I like his movement. I like his skills. He moves like somebody who's much smaller, and I love that. I mean, I don't know if he could play outside linebacker, but I've seen a lot of clips and it makes me wonder if he has the skills to like be in an even or odd man front. And I'm going to try to stop calling it 3-4 and 4-3 and go even odd, because that's kind of what we're switching to. We're switching to like a 4-2-5 and a 3-3-5. So the power does show up. I like his movement skills more, but yeah. Andrew Tate's biggest reason why I'm doing my time Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. That's a fantastic. I saw a clip when he was on Fresh and Fit, and he said, like, what's one thing you want to know? He goes, you want to know self-defense boxing, just punch somebody right in the face. Punch somebody right in the face. I would love to get back into Krav Maga. I haven't been able to, but that's something that I would like to get back into. So, but that's awesome that you're doing it. I think I love when, I kind of don't want to talk about it, but hopefully you're not going to get mad. But Denver Gators shared like some personal details, some like great news. He they Dan, blah blah blah. I'm not going to say what it was, but I was like, this is freaking awesome. It had nothing to do with football, and I was like, this is awesome. You doing Muay Thai and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu because of Andrew Tate. That's great news. I love building a community. Keys shot me a message. He was curious about what the big was, and I was like, man, this is awesome. This is stuff I love talking about. And the over-unders have come out, and I was thinking about doing a video next week because 3 teams stood out in particular, teams that you should bet on, maybe bet on now. And I thought about just going over all 32 teams. Somebody I respect in the betting community already put action on Arizona under 5.5, and I'm like, man, that's probably a good bet. So, there is. So, okay, so here's what I heard is that he's been cleared. He's just not 100%. That's the story that I'm hearing. So. James, what's up, brother? Everybody Brad signs comes from a scratch. It's funny. Luke G was saying that, and I don't know if that's necessarily true, but I get that. I get that. Devin Witherspoon, he didn't participate at the combine. Just throwing it out there. I know people hate the Devin Witherspoon at 6. The more I look at the Lions, the more Witherspoon makes sense at 6. It makes a lot of sense. I know John Dorsey picked Denzel Ward 4th overall, and I think I hate comparing players to each other, but there's a lot of similarities between Ward and Witherspoon. Somebody tried telling me that Witherspoon's not good of a player, and I said Daniel Jeremiah has some number 6 on his big board. Well, Daniel Jeremiah doesn't know that much about football, and I'm like, yeah. You don't like Daniel Jeremiah, you don't like Witherspoon going to Lions at 6. I get that. Saying he doesn't know that much about football, former NFL scout who works for the NFL Network, and his job is college scouting. Like that argument, I'm like, so yeah. You throw elbows. Well, yeah, okay. So that's like the number one thing. Like they had a thing like, you learn how to throw. Yeah. By the way, a little self-defense 101, very, very basic stuff. Your elbow is much better than your fist. Your elbow is much, much better than your fist. If you can get in close. I wrestled in high school. It's something I wouldn't mind doing again. I'm probably too old for that, but yeah. It is a good day. Amazement, brother. Dan, how you been? Crazy? Yeah. You know what? Let's do it now. I was talking about teams that could trade up in the draft. I think Tampa Bay at 19. Now, the draft I've had, the drafts I've been having, Will Levis has been dropping to Tampa Bay at 19, but I could see Tampa Bay trading up in the draft. I think New England at 14, Philly at 10. Keys, what's up, brother? Oh man, I'm glad to see you, man. Yeah, I am. I don't know. You never know. Oh, by the way, nobody's been talking about this in Kansas City. I love this pick. We got Byron Cook, another player in the second round. Nobody's really talking about. He's a bigger, more physical safety. Your strong safety type. A guy like Mike Edwards is going to be more of a free safety. Really, 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 really good player that no Chiefs fans are talking about. But I'm really glad that you brought that up because it's kind of an under the radar signing Chiefs fans aren't talking about. So. I'm with you, Funk. By the way, I'm with you big time because if take Javion Clowney, okay. I again, I don't like comparing players, but Clowney can't play 17 games. Is Wilson going to be the same way? And if so, do you want to take a guy like that in top 10? So, the Dallas Cowboys, I am 100% all in that they love Dalton Kincaid, the tight end out of Utah. I think that they are going to try and trade up. The question is where. 14 to New England makes a lot of sense. I don't think Dallas and Philly would trade in the draft, but I watched Minnesota and Detroit trade. I watched Detroit then trade with the Green Bay. So it's a different day. It's a different day. But Dallas at 26 is definitely going to trade up. And I think Kansas City has like 13 draft picks. They're not going to draft 13 players. And I think that they're going to trade up a lot in rounds 3, 4, and 5. Maybe in rounds 2. Maybe in the second round they could trade up. But Kansas City, Dallas, and Tampa Bay. Now I'm going to throw another curveball. The Houston Texans, I think, could trade back in the first round. Houston Texans pick 2nd and 12th. They pick 33rd. I think the Houston Texans could jump back in to the draft in the late 20s, maybe at 30 and 31. That's another team. And then Green Bay, after the Rodgers trade, which is going to happen. More than likely. So here's the deal. The Jets pick, I want to say 39th and 40th. It's back-to-back picks in the second round. One of those picks is going to be involved in the Rodgers trade. The 13th pick overall may also be involved. Whenever the trade gets done, I want to see what happens, but I think Green Bay will be another team that trades up in this draft after the Rodgers trade, because they're going to pick 15th. Maybe they pick 13th. You never know. But after the Rodgers trade, I think they trade up and maybe get back in the first round. I think maybe they pick 15th, and maybe they pick 15th and 30th or 15th and 31. So I have no idea how this started. How did the Big Bertha addiction start? I guess the Raiders are entertaining the idea of, I'm gonna go over this here. I am firmly convinced, and I'm gonna ruin this. I'm firmly convinced if Jalen Carter gets to Seattle at 5, he's going to be a Seahawk. Jalen Carter, I am 100% convinced will go to Seattle at 5. I just see it happening. But let's say it doesn't happen. Okay, let's just say it doesn't happen. Who knows what Pete Carroll's going to do in the draft? Pete Carroll's a crazy guy when it comes to the draft. Last year was the first time in, I don't remember. Last year was the first time that he ever had a conventional draft. And it was, I think, one of his best drafts ever. Now, he had a draft where, he had, I think it was the same draft where he had Russell Wilson in the 3rd round and Richard Sherman in the 5th round. I think that was the same draft. I'd have to go back and make sure. He also, Bobby Wagner in the 2nd round. But let's just say Jalen Carter gets past 5. Detroit at 6 is interested. Raiders at 7 are interested. Atlanta at 8, I think could love them. But the problem is Atlanta, I think, really needs to improve that pass rush desperately. And they also already signed a defensive tackle. So Atlanta maybe gets out of it. I'd be honest with you. If Jalen Carter falls to 8, I could see Atlanta trying to field picks left and right. Chicago at 9 could take them. I don't think Philly would be interested because they drafted Jordan Davis last year, and Fletcher Cox is coming back. So I don't see Philly doing it. Tennessee at 11 is interesting because they got Jeffrey Simmons, who is just a monster. And remember, they drafted Jeffrey Simmons when he was injured. That's Jalen Carter to Tennessee at 11 would be a lot of fun. I have a hard time seeing him get past there, but let's say he does. Houston at 12, don't see him getting past there. I think the Houston Texans at 12, DeMeco Ryans, former Alabama linebacker, former Texans linebacker. I think he's going to say, hey, I can make Jalen Carter work. So 12 would be the limit. But if he gets by Seattle, picks 6, 7, 8, or let's just do this, 6, 7, Chicago maybe at 9, Tennessee 11 probably stops there, but not getting past 12. And we're going to talk about this draft day. I'm going to be live. So the alarm that I have no idea how to shut off. But anyway, sorry about that. If you stay relaxed, there is more power. There's a lot of power in your kicks. I have pins in my foot from a motorcycle wreck. So it's funny what I was doing. Like I can't do anything with my left foot, like kicking wise. Like I literally cannot. It's kind of weird. Like It's like it's got some weird bumps in it because, but I can't do anything with my left foot. So yeah. I don't believe that at all. I think the Raiders would be interested, and they really could use a guy like that. But he's a guy that the Raiders need help on all three levels of defense. They really do. So Jalen Carter, I don't believe that at all. I can see the Raiders saying that, but I don't believe that. You haven't heard Chiefs fans talking about Edwards. I've heard a pretty good amount of love for Veach free agent additions. If anything that's holding it back, it's people don't believe Taylor can move to LT. Yeah, I have not been hearing the love about Mike Edwards, and I love the Mike Edwards pickup. I love it. The Taylor move to the left tackle, I'm kind of like, ooh, boy. I hope it works. I loved Taylor coming out of Florida, but I thought he was a guard. I really did. I thought he could be like, can't believe. Okay, 31 minutes in, drone brain freeze. Quentin Nelson, the guard for Indianapolis. I thought he could be like that good. And now he's going to get a chance to play left tackle. So I'm glad we kept Dean, but we lost Edwards, obviously, and our other cornerback left too. We're in a cap hell, and we had to let a ton of guys walk. That's kind of the reason why I've been mocking Levis at 19. I do think Tampa Bay could trade up for Levis, but man, God, there's some holes in Tampa. There's some real holes in Tampa. But I really think if Levis is available, especially at 19, you could take that. I was actually tempted to take John Robinson at 19, but I think that you need that quarterback. I think if Levis is available, I think you got to pull the trigger. I mean, both the quarterbacks that you got are on 1-year deals, and then you also have the kid out of Florida you drafted 2 years ago. I can't believe I forgot his name already. Really liked that kid too, but if you got a franchise quarterback who's available, I think you got to pull the trigger, and I think that's what the Tampa Bay is going to do. And then what they could do is that there's some good corners in this draft. You may be able to get one in the second round. Hefty contract. Oh, you're talking about for Jalen Carter? It is, but I mean, if you're just going by the film and the film's it, Jalen Carter's film is probably the best of anybody. I mean, he looks unstoppable. Worf's had the best hands in our secondary, and he was a safety you'll like. Yeah, I like the fact. So here's a drill, and this has always stuck a bad seed with me, is we had Juan Thornhill, who left in free agencies with Cleveland, and I hope he does well. He was pick number 63, and pick number 64 was a DK Metcalf. I'm sorry, DJ. DK Metcalf was pick number 64, and we chose Juan Thornhill at 63. And Juan Thornhill played both safety and corner in college, and we were hoping he could do the same type of versatility, and he really wasn't that type of player. He wasn't that type of player, and he didn't have those hands. We thought he would be we thought we'd get a lot more turnovers out of him, like we did with the Honey Badger. Never was that type of guy. I think Edwards is a guy that we're going to get some picks from, and I mean on the Chiefs offense, getting turnovers is key. So I've heard about this too. Yeah, my phone. I got all sorts of alerts. I think that's actually going to happen. I think Wirfs is going to move to left tackle, but and Donovan Smith, nobody's picked him up, and I think he's a really good left tackle. So I'm kind of surprised that hasn't happened yet. So I'm against the Raiders or Chargers or because I've only done the first round so far, I haven't done anything for the Broncos. I think the Chargers at 21, it kind of sucks because I've had them getting some really, really good players lately. And it really sucks because they pick 21 and Baltimore picks 22. So I've been having the Chargers leapfrog Baltimore and getting Brian Branch, the safety out of Alabama. And he's a guy that can be a corner. You can play him at corner. You can play, I think it's natural position safety, but you can put him at corner and you can win. He's a really good football player. And I've been mocking him to the Chargers. You never know what I'm going to do next. Never know what I'm going to do next. I think Bijan Robinson's floor, he doesn't get past the Chargers. I think if he's available at 21, Chargers pull the trigger. I've had the Chargers taking some pretty good players, but Bijan Robinson doesn't get past the Chargers at 21. The one thing that's different about me than a lot of other mock drafts is that I keep seeing mock drafts with the Chargers taking a wide receiver. When I look at the Chargers, that's kind of the last thing they need. They got three really good receivers. They need help on defense, so I don't understand why I keep seeing this over and over again, but it's interesting. Worst can do, it's going to be different. Yeah, it's funny because I'll never forget. There's this guy on Twitter, and I can't remember who he is, and he does like NFL scouting, and a lot of people thought Wirfs could play guard or tackle, and I hit him up, and I was like, I put him on the comments. I was like, why do you think Wirfs can play tackle versus guard? And he says, just watch the tape. And like, I was like, okay, thanks for the answer. This guy, I thought it was a dick move. So kind of like, okay, I'll unfollow you. But yeah. Yeah, the best part is if it doesn't work out, you move him back to right tackle, and he's still playing lights out as a right tackle. So. Reach around Raiders need a new coach and a new front office. It'll be interesting to see what they do. I mean, you got Jimmy G, so you got your quarterback. You paid Jacoby Myers the same amount of money you could pay Juju. It better work. I think Darren Waller would have been a great addition if he was able to stay healthy. I think the Raiders don't think he can stay healthy is, I think, the problem. Be interesting because if he plays 17 for the Giants, they're going to look, their front office is going to look really bad. And what the problem is with the Raiders is that they need so much help on defense. They had 27 sacks last year, 12.5 from Max Crosby. So I've been mocking getting defensive line help. Tyree Wilson, if he's available, makes a lot of sense. But when I look at their secondary, I mean, how are you in a division with a future Hall of Famer in Russell Wilson, one of the up-and-coming best young quarterbacks in Justin Herbert, and some guy Patrick something in Kansas City, and have a secondary with that's that bad? I mean, look at their starting secondary players, and I mean, it's just terrible. That's why Christian Gonzalez made a lot of sense. I thought I'd hear a lot more negativity about Gonzalez going to the Raiders at 7. I really didn't. And then I think Bucky Brooks' next mock draft, he had the same thing. And I was like, okay, I guess I found something. So. They wasted the Mac trade. And then I keep hearing he's doing good with the Chargers, but he's not the same guy. Khalil Mack, when with the Raiders, was one of the best defensive players in football, and his first couple of years with the Bears was one of the best defensive players in football. He's not that guy at the Chargers, and yeah, all those draft picks are wasted. Why would the best guard in football to tackle would why? Okay, I'm sorry. Why move the best guard in football to tackle would make a whole lot of sense. Are you talking about war? I know we talked about the tackle. I heard rumors a long time ago they were going to move Quentin Nelson from guard to tackle. Um, Dallas, when they had Tyron Smith, when he came back, he was a left tackle. He moved him to right tackle. His situation's a little unique. I'm not going to go into too much deep. If you really want me to, I can, because he has a very unusual contract. So him playing right tackle is really not that big of a deal. Normally, if you're a left tackle, you don't want to play right tackle until very late in your career because there's a big pay drop. It's not that case with Tyron Smith. And I can go over that if you want. But Dan likes Jalen Carter's video so much. Dan shared it on his OnlyFans and selling his feet pics. Do sign up for my OnlyFans account. It's awesome. It's awesome. Maybe I should start selling feet pics on OnlyFans. So, Dan, do you think Spags wanted Thornhill to be more like Kendall Fuller, Jarius Sneed yeah, absolutely he did. Absolutely he did. So, so Thornhill played corner and safety. With same thing with L'Jarius Sneed. L'Jarius Sneed played. Now, I remember when the Chiefs drafted L'Jarius Sneed in the 4th round. I did not like that pick at all because I said, how do you take a guy, Louisiana Tech? How do you take a guy who you moved from corner to safety at a non-Power 5 school, and then you're going to draft him and have him play corner? It doesn't make any sense. Although it was one of the dumbest things I saw. And then I think like his first game, he had a pick, and he looked like he could play right away. I was like, okay, well. Kendall Fuller was a guy that he was on the Chiefs' first Super Bowl, and he went back to Washington. He was actually part of the Alex Smith trade. Believe it or not, he came over as part of the Alex Smith trade, played phenomenal football with Kansas City. He's actually been an excellent player in Washington. He plays inside outside, but he doesn't play safety. Actually, I lied. He did play safety in the Super Bowl, so he has that ability. But in Washington, I think he's just played corner. But yeah, absolutely. They wanted Thornhill to be that guy, and he never was. I don't think he was really that good of a free safety either, to be perfectly honest. That's why I like this Mike Edwards move. I think it's an upgrade. I really think it's an upgrade at free safety. I really do. And I think Byron Cook, it's funny, of all the Chiefs rookies, Byron Cook, people hardly ever bring that up because he was the other 2nd round pick, but he's a guy I think is going to have a major impact next year. He's a guy I really, really liked when he played. So, okay. All right. So I'm going to give, this is something that I've learned over the years. All right. I don't get turned on by feet, but I always pay attention. Here's what I've learned. If a girl has nasty feet, usually everything else below the waist is usually pretty gross. If a girl doesn't take good care of her feet, she doesn't take care of other things below the waist. That's been my... So like I'll never forget. I was on a date with this girl, and she was really pretty. She wore like this little black, like kind of sundress type deal, and which black's my favorite color. I love dresses, and she wore these sandals, but she had these like nasty ass feet, like they were gross, and it just killed it. I was like, no, I no. I mean, she was dressed. We were having an okay time. But I mean, they were gross. I mean, gross. I mean, I'm not talking 6 toes, but it was really nasty. I'm not talking like it was like nasty feet, nasty other things. And I live by that. So if I see a girl, like she could be a 10 out of 10 look, she got nasty feet. It's like, no. So that's, and by the way, I like that's been like 100% of the time. Any girl that's had nasty feet, just boom. So, yeah, I've heard. Well, he didn't stay healthy last year, and Keenan Allen's had injury issues as well. But Joshua Palmer didn't. I mean, Joshua Palmer, I think started 15 games. I could be wrong about that. But they have three really good receivers. I'm looking at the Chargers. I just don't see them taking a wide receiver at 21, but I've seen a lot of mocks of them taking a wide receiver at 21. I'm like, has anybody seen that defense? I mean, seriously, they get to take a defensive tackle. I've been mocking Brian Branch there because he would take over for Nasir Adderley, who retired from football at 24. And Adderley's a guy who also could play like, they were going to use around like a chess piece. Didn't really pan out. Loved him coming out of Delaware. Now he retired. And that's a guy that if you put Brian Branch, you replace Nasir Adderley. I think you get a upgrade in the secondary. And again, look, you're trying to beat Kansas City. You need good players in the secondary. So yeah, he did. Not in he was okay with the Chargers, but there's a difference between being solid and one of the top 10 defensive players. But so here's a drill. There was talks about him moving to tackle because they didn't have a left tackle. I think it was 2 years ago, and they ended up signing Eric Fisher, formerly of the Chiefs, and he didn't have when I watched him play, I thought he played pretty well, but I kept on hearing negative things. That's a guy I'm kind of surprised is not on the NFL roster right now, Eric Fisher. So he was. I don't think he is now. God, who is the best guard in football? God, I don't want to say Joe Thurney, but I'm probably going to say Joe Thurney. God, who is the best guard in football? That's a good question. It's not Quentin Nelson, not anymore. Irv Smith to the Bengals. Do I like that move? I do. I really always liked Hayden Hurst. I thought it was kind of a shame it didn't work out in Baltimore. I mean, Mark Andrews blew up, so I get it. I thought Hayden Hurst was a really good player. I forget the player. 2 years ago, they had a tight end. He left for the Jets in free agency. I think he was injured most of the season. So they signed Hayden Hurst. He had a really good season. I really thought the Bengals were going to re-sign him, and they didn't. So you move Irv Smith there. How it's going to work out, I'm not sure. But I thought that the Bengals. If by the way, so my mock draft, I had the Bengals. I just want to make sure. Yeah, I had the Bengals taking Michael Mayer, the tight end out of Notre Dame. But I made that video Sunday, and then Monday, Irv Smith signs with the Bengals. So I'm like, I probably wouldn't go Michael Mayer. So I like it because Michael Mayer, I think, could be a top 2 to 3 tight end in the next couple of years. I think Michael Mayer is going to be special. So please don't you have the value. But sad there's these young women that do it to make. Yeah. I'm gonna gloss over that. You can hit me up. We can talk about that. But yeah, they did. Okay, so Keith is correct. Snead moved the safety at Tech because they needed a safety. Isn't that story? The answer is yes. And they had a guy who ended up being a 4th-round pick. I think he went to the Raiders, in fact. So they had an NFL corner, and they had a guy that played corner, but they moved him to safety. But here's the drill. If you're at Louisiana Tech, this is my thought process, and I was wrong. If you're at Louisiana Tech and you're an NFL caliber corner, you don't move him to safety. You bring up a different player. But asking him to go from corner to safety, I thought was a negative, and it wasn't. And everything that you're saying is that he was a decent corner, but not safety, and was a team player. And yeah, everything you're saying is right. But I was thinking that, hey, look, if you're Louisiana Tech, and you have an NFL corner, you're not moving him to safety. And it turns out to be they had another NFL corner. I think it was a Meek Robinson, and I want to say he was at the Raiders, but I think he's San Francisco. But so Louisiana Tech ended up having Louisiana Tech's actually been producing some NFL talent over the last couple of years, but Is there here or there? Justin Reed and Byron Cook played in the box last season. LORC? So if Edwards can roam deep like Thornhill, or it sounds like better. Oh yeah, yeah, and I think you're going to see a lot more 3 safety sets. But then the Chiefs signed Drew Thornhill from the Chargers starting linebacker, which I thought was a strange move. I think part of me is wondering if the Chiefs want to move on from Willie Gay and are kind of like looking at some different options. But they drafted Leo Chenal, I'm sorry, out of Wisconsin in the 3rd round. Some people had him going late first. Some I didn't, but so it was another strange move. But I really thought that Byron Cook would play a lot of. I thought the Chiefs might use a lot of big nickel formations where you have 2 safeties that can play in the box, and you have like Mike Edwards. Now I'm kind of like, I don't know. But I thought Byron Cook might push Justin Reed for a starting spot. I actually think he could be that good. And I don't know. I mean, I'm already excited for preseason with the Chiefs because they have a lot of players on the defensive side of the ball. It's going to be very interesting. And most people, not me, but most people believe that Kansas City is going to take, that they're going to draft defensively heavy again. And I've been mocking the Chiefs taking a wide receiver. My latest mock draft, I had the Chiefs taking Jalen Hyatt, which to me makes a lot of sense. Somebody told me Hyatt doesn't fit the Chiefs scheme, and I'm like, you mean a wide receiver with speed doesn't fit the Chiefs scheme? But I keep seeing people want to sign DeAndre Hopkins or trade for a wide receiver. And it's like, no, you get some youth, cheap youth. That's the kind of thing I like, is that you got cheap youth at wide receiver because you don't want to pay a lot of money for the wide receiver position simply because you can't. So I've heard both rumors of Gay being traded and of a possible switch to a 3-4 since Kansas City added Tranquil, which if either do you think is likely? Well, I don't think the Chiefs would switch to a 3-4. That's just not Spags' style. I mean, Spags is a lot of people forget Spags has been an NFL head coach, but he's been a longtime defensive coordinator. He's run the same scheme, and it's been successful. And what it is that he wants to have lots of players getting to the quarterback. I don't think a 3-4 would make. I don't think you take a long-time defensive coach and then say, I'm going to do something different, even though I've been a defensive coordinator for 4 Super Bowl winning teams, including 2 against heavily favored Tom Brady, and then go, I'm just going to change it up. Gay being traded makes a lot of sense, and I love Willie Gay, but it may be a situation where you're looking at finances and saying, hey, look, by the way, if you're not aware, Willie Gay I don't want to go into his full, but he had a very colorful career at Mississippi State. But he went to the combine, he ran like a 4.46, and Chiefs are like, yeah, we can work with this. And I think that he's going to be one of those guys that when his contract's up, I think that you can't sign everybody. And I think he's going to be one of these guys that's just kind of lost in the shuffle. Because Tranquil only signed a 1-year deal. I'm kind of curious, like, how's that going to work out? I would hate it if the Chiefs kept Gay and lost Bolton, who's the better of them. But yeah. But I think Gay being traded makes sense. And the reason why I think it makes sense is because I don't think that you can keep him. So talking about Nelson staying at guard and being one of the best or moving to left tackle, I know how you feel about the value as a premium position. It would be like me considering Orlando Brown Jr. as a left tackle versus right guard. Yeah, and so what the rumor was, I think it was just a rumor. The Colts had a hole at left tackle. Their tackle retired, and they were thinking about moving Nelson. Nelson said, "I'm not going to do it. You have to rework my contract or something like that." But yeah, it turned out he didn't do it, and a lot of people do this. I playing different positions along the offensive line is something that a lot of people feel like any lineman can do. It's not really as easy as you may think. It's a skill that is very valuable because it's a little unusual. Just because you are an elite guard does not mean you can be a good tackle. Just because you played good on the right side as a right tackle doesn't mean that you can be a good left tackle. You have to do a lot. There's a lot of it that goes into it. I know a lot of people that play Madden just like, oh, I just moved my guard to tackle or tackle to guard, and it just works because it works. It really doesn't work that way. It really doesn't work that way. But yeah, there was talk about this. Was a couple of years ago. There was talk about Quentin Nelson just moving him to left tackle. By the way, Joe Thurney for the Chiefs, they had to do that when Orlando Brown was injured for that game. They moved him to left tackle. He played great. You could do that for one game. So yeah, right guard being his best position, in my opinion, he could be a top right guard. Are you talking about Orlando? Yeah, Orlando Brown could be a great guard. Could, I mean, you never know, but I mean, I don't know if that would ever happen. Don't get me wrong. Jason Peters, longtime left tackle, he played guard for a little bit. I think at like 38 or something. It could happen. So yeah. Listen. Nasty feet, nasty. If I recall, that's what that means. Yeah. So anyway, nasty feet. Everything else below the waist is also nasty. But if you're a coach at Louisiana Tech, you're not making those kinds of yeah. So, but it's not being the same. It's kind of like how Tristan Wirfs played right tackle at Iowa, despite Iowa starting left tackle Aldrich Johnson, very athletic tackle. Teams make weird decisions. You have to understand too is college football is such a different game than the NFL. And in Iowa, you know this, Keith, because you're an Iowa fan. Iowa's one of the few teams in the country where they'll play a senior over a sophomore or freshman who's better, who's significantly better. That's why people are talking about Lucas Van Ness, who wasn't a starter, about him being a top 10 player because I said James LaFrance. I think it's Kirk LaFrance. Yeah. So, what player do you think will be a bust in the league? God, I hate saying that, but any one of these quarterbacks that are chosen in the first round could be a bust. And the reason why I say that is that because you need so many external factors. Okay. Anthony Richardson, if he goes to the Colts and needs to start, he could just it could be a disaster because he's not ready. And I think that the Colts would be a perfect situation because you got Gardner Minshew. Now Gardner Minshew goes down and you throw Anthony Richardson and he's not ready. And you know what the thing is with the Colts is that they're a team that I think that could be ready to win now. I really believe that the Colts could be ready to win now. The defense is good. Jonathan Taylor, I made a list here. There's 5 running backs that I really think if they play all 17 games, they could be the best running back in football. Jonathan Taylor's one of them. You have some good talent. It's Jeloni. Giuliani. He was a 3rd round pick out of Virginia, real athletic tight end. You got Alec Pierce, another 3rd round rookie out of the University of Cincinnati. You got Michael Pittman, who's got all sorts of potential. I think it's his 3rd or 4th year. out of USC. I want to say third, talented wide receiver. The Colts got talent. The only problem is quarterback. But you take a guy like Anthony Richardson, who I don't think is ready to play, and you throw him in right away, he could be a guy that can just completely self-destruct. Any quarterback that's chosen in the first round could be a bust. Tyree Wilson, if he's not healthy, that could be a bust, not because of talent, because he can't stay healthy. I think Jalen Carter is going to be a damn good player. I really do. So. Yeah, somebody told me that he doesn't fit the Chiefs scheme, and I'm like, a speedy wide receiver. Yeah, I think Andy Reid can handle that. So yeah, I think Kansas City needs D-line help, but maybe another corner, offensive tackle, wide receivers right up there. All those. Not a lot of needs, in my opinion. Well, here's the best part is that. Yeah, I think it's 13 draft picks. And I mean, Trey Smith, you got him, and he's been, I think he's gone to like 1 or 2 Pro Bowls. You got him in the 6th round. That's a steal. You could get a right tackle. You don't need to use a high draft pick on a right tackle. I don't know about corner, man, because we had 3 rookies that played really, really well. I don't know if you want to draft one. If you do, I don't think you draft one high. Joshua Williams, to me, is a guy like everybody talks about Trent McDuffie, but Joshua Williams really stands out because like this is a guy that's really raw, that has a lot of ability, and I thought he played well. He's a guy I could actually just see making a big step up. And we still got L'Jarius Sneed, so it wouldn't surprise me if the Chiefs draft the corner. I just don't see it early. Defensive line, I could see that. And that's what most people have Kansas City doing, especially if you want to draft early. You do like you're doing a first-round mock draft like I'm doing. A lot of people have a defensive line edge, at 31. I've been doing wide receiver, and it just makes sense to me. If Brian Brees, I've toyed around with putting Brian Brees next to Chris Jones at 31. Massive upside. That's a guy Steve Spagnuolo would love. Long, big, athletic defensive tackle. Put him next to Chris Jones. A lot of Chiefs fans really misunderstood when Chris Jones, who, by the way, this is brilliant. He goes, "Hey, I just want to be the 2nd highest paid defensive tackle in the NFL." Chiefs fans all over, "Oh, Chris Jones, he's going to be a Chief for life." No. He's saying, "Look, my contract's up. I don't need to reset the market, but I want to raise." That's what he was saying, and it was really smart that he did it because he got Chiefs Kingdom to back him. But he came out and he's like, "Look, 2024 year, I'm gonna need a little more money," and Chiefs fans really missed that. So Brian Brees, I thought might make a lot of sense. I've almost mocked Brian Brees, the defensive tackle out of Clemson. Had a great combine, by the way. I almost think that's a possibility in the first round. Defensive tackle, not edge. So, because a lot of Chiefs fans think that when Chris Jones said, "I just need to be the 2nd highest paid defensive tackle in the NFL," well, when his contract comes up, which is next year, he said that, but that means he wants more money, not less, and he deserves it. So what have the Chiefs done in the past? Well, when they get rid of Frank Clark, they draft George Karlaftis. So I was thinking about that quite a bit. And even though I could see the Chiefs drafting defensive tackle more than I could see them drafting edge, I still have been taking wide receiver. So, but it's something to consider. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying the Chiefs aren't going to draft an edge. This is a deep edge class. There's several edge rushers that the Chiefs could grab in the 2nd round. That could be really, really good players. That could be really, really good players. So kind of ranted a little too much there. Orlando Brown's been heavily influenced by his father as to why he wants to stay at left tackle as long as he can. His father was the right tackle. I remember that. So here's the drill. He actually was a left tackle. And if you're not aware of this story, so what happened was Orlando Brown Sr., in a game, the ref threw a flag and it hit him in the eye. And so he pushed the referee, got ejected. I think he got ejected for the game, maybe the whole season. Later on, it found out that because they used to have a bunch of beanbag. They used to have BBs. Anyway, I forget what it is. Anyway, the referees, they didn't mean it, but what happened is it actually damaged his eye. And so the NFL changed it, and then they actually changed, so the flags are now completely different composition. So kudos, but anyway, due to the injury on his eye, they had to move him from the left to the right side because he couldn't see out of that eye. And here's the deal. God, I love Orlando Brown. I wanted him to stay in Kansas City. And I'm not saying he's not close to his dad. The difference between a left tackle and a right tackle is about $30 to $40 million. So that story, it's a great story. Don't get me wrong. And you have to play left tackle in honor of my father. That story's a bunch of bullshit. The story, here's the story. I want to make an extra $50 million. That's why I want to play left tackle. That's the truth. The story about, I remember that game. Actually, I think I was watching that game live. So. But the truth is, I want to make an extra $50 to $75 million in my NFL career. That's why I want to play left tackle. That's the truth. The rest of that, I know it happened. I watched it happen. Here's the truth. I want to make an extra $50 to $75 million. That's the real truth. It's not keeping. Okay. Not keeping the toenails. It was okay. This particular the bad date. It wasn't that it was no paint. There was like this weird I chew my fingernails. So like my fingernails don't look good. It's something I do, but my last girlfriend, I remember had a pedicure before our first date, and it was in December. I think she wore boots. Maybe she didn't. I don't remember, but just girls that take care of their feet take care of other body parts. So I think his father did him. He deserved his right. So Dan, whose agents were. Well, Lamar Jackson doesn't have an agent, and Keys, them, and Jamal hire. What do you think is the greatest cause of a bust? Work ethic, motivation, the situation the player ends up at, bad luck? Me personally, I think it's injuries. I really think it's injuries. But it's also the mental state of mind. I don't know if you remember a player by the name of Rashad Salam, won Heisman Trophy at Colorado. Great story. Won the Heisman Trophy, went to the Bears first round. I forget to pick 21st, I think. Had a injured knee or shoulder or something along that lines. And first round pick, he's got newfound money. He didn't know how to handle the injury, never did before, so he started smoking weed, and that basically just grew into addiction, got him out of the league. Now he doesn't get injured. Does he start smoking weed? You never know. People say Brian Bosworth was a bust, and he'll say he was a bust. If he wasn't injured, would he be a great linebacker? Maybe. I recently watched that 30 for 30, Brian Bosworth versus the Boss. And I actually bought his book at the dollar store. I thought it was kind of a joke. And it's actually fantastic. The Brian Bosworth autobiography was one of the best books I ever read. I was a huge fan after reading it. I was like, this is awesome. And if he doesn't get hurt, I mean, so many good players. So I think it's fluke injuries. But Rashad Salam, he starts smoking weed to get over an injury, and then he just keeps smoking weed. That's also work ethic. Some players can rehab harder than others. I heard a story of, I've never been a big fan. I know it's kind of sacrilegious to say because, he's dead and everything, but Kobe Bryant heard an injury. He was trying to recover, and he went to get experimental blood platelets put into it. Certain people recover different. And then there's also, going to different doctors, trying different strategies, getting different personal trainers. There's so many different things. So, but in my opinion, in my personal opinion, I think it's fluke injuries. With the quarterback, you got to go to the right situation. If Patrick Mahomes didn't go to the perfect situation, he wouldn't be the best quarterback in football. I really believe that. If he went to the Raiders, he who knows where his career might be right now. So, yeah, I said maybe corner because it's Snead's contract situation if they extend him. Yeah, I could. It wouldn't surprise me if the Chiefs draft a corner. I just don't think they're going to do it in the first round. But a wide receiver in the first round makes a lot of sense. Some of the time being overdrafted could be big. I don't know if Chiefs fans missed that, Dan. I think that after Orlando wanted Trent Williams money by being an average left tackle, and Jones says he wants to be second highest paid, just not the highest. I know that what I saw was a lot of Chiefs fans really missed it because a lot of Chiefs fans didn't see that he was saying, "Hey, I'm not coming back cheap. You have to pay me." And I kept on seeing Chiefs fans, oh, yeah, Chris Jones, yeah. And it's like, no. He's saying, hey, you're going to have to pay up. So, but here's the thing. He did it the right way. Maybe Orlando Brown did it the wrong way. So, Greg Clary saying one pride. We need some Lions fans in here, Greg. So I'm glad to see you, brother. I don't recognize the name. So if you're new, make sure you are hitting the subscribe button. And by the way, my new mock draft will be coming out Tuesday, 6 p.m. I'm going to go into more detail on this new mock draft. I'm going to talk. It's going to be extended because I have a voice. I'm able to talk. Had a real nasty cold. So. But I wouldn't be completely shocked if Chris Jones got traded for the draft pick, used the draft as replacement. So far, all the DTs getting paid haven't had huge contracts like expected. Yeah. And the thing is that Aaron Donald reset the market. And I think Chris Jones doesn't want to say, hey, look, I'm not asking for Aaron Jones, but I am asking for more money. And that's going to be interesting because Chris Jones is a guy I love Chris Jones. It wouldn't surprise me if he leaves Kansas City after this year. It wouldn't surprise me at all. So I could have swore I saw Senior say he was playing right when it happened. Money involved too. Yeah, it's definitely. I know, and I've chewed my nails my whole life, and I probably should stop. I don't think I can. My fingernails are not attractive. I am fully aware of this, and I know it's a bad thing, but And by the way, when I look at the girls' fingernails and I see that they're chewed, I kind of, but it's actually funny. There's a nail salon across the street. So an old girlfriend of mine told me to get a manicure, and I got one. I actually did get one. It was awesome. My fingernails looked really great, and I didn't chew them for about 3 days. And then that fourth day, bad habit. I really should. I really should quit, but I probably won't. I probably won't. But one of these days I should. So, if I have to ask what nasty feet are, I don't have to worry about it. It's still nice to keep myself grounded by hearing single guy problems. And man, I'm going to tell you something. It is really bad for single guys because, God, I don't know how much. I don't want to tell too much about your personal life, but like, the last 10 to 15 years with the advent of social media, well, it's probably been longer, but with social media just exploding, so many average girls have so many more options that you would be floored. Like, seriously, you could get a girl that's 5'4", 200 pounds can literally get like hundreds of messages from guys. There was this one video where it was one of these red pill guys. So anyway, it was a married couple, and the guy started getting into bodybuilding. I think he was doing an injury, and his wife put on some weight, and she was jealous because there was this one girl liking all of his Instagram pictures and something like that. And he's like, no, listen, we'll sign up for, I think I'm going to say Tinder, may not have been Tinder. And we'll watch a movie. And once the movie's over, we'll look at our profiles. And he had one like or whatever. She had like 430. She ended up leaving him for one of those 430. So it was messed up. But yeah, it's messed up. It really is. And here's the thing. Guys just need to be the best versions of themselves and just do things like, for me, I probably should, quit showing my nails. But what I'm doing instead is I'm building a business. I just hit over 1,000. I'm working on getting monetized by YouTube and hopefully I can start making some money, getting some sponsors. And anyway, but a guy that builds up his own business, being his own man, doing his own thing, that's kind of what I'm doing. I also try to keep myself in good shape. I look good for 48. I really do. Not great, but for 48, I look pretty good. Ricky Williams, yeah. Ricky Williams. God, we can go through so many. There's a dirty story I could tell about that. Hit me up. I'm not going to say it here, but as long as a girl sees some Benjamin next to those nails, you're probably fine with fun. Yeah, you know what? One thing is though is that my nails are clean. I will say that my nails are clean, and I do when I go out, which isn't often, but I do have it. It used to be awesome. I used to get tons of compliments, and then last year I got it, and I never got complimented on it. But I use Curve cologne. I do wear cologne when I go out. Very underrated, but like if you're out in public, men do get some good cologne. I might have to switch up from Curve. Curve used to be awesome. I like the way it smells, don't get me wrong, but I haven't gotten complimented on it. So never know. The girls that are only after men bags are probably the women you want to avoid like the plague. Well, God, there's so much I want to talk about. Like this is, maybe I should do a second YouTube. Men that lead off with cash are the men that don't have the game. Getting game and learning game is so much harder for men than it is for women. So that's why it's important. If you're leading off with money, it's because you don't know game. You need to learn some game. All men need to learn game. I'm focused more on my YouTube channel than I am for dating right now. And the reason why is if my YouTube channel blows off and I make more money, I know I'm gonna have more options. But you shouldn't ever lead off with money. But I do lead off sometimes if I start getting into myself, which you also shouldn't do. You should let the woman do the talking. You should shut the fuck up and ask questions. Now I'm just trying to build up my YouTube channel. So, hey, look, I'm an entrepreneur. I march and beat on my own drum, So I saw a video yesterday of a woman talking to a guy, said, "Excuse me, miss," to her in a mall parking lot from far away, and how she started screaming at him to turn around. She was so proud. Let me read that again. I didn't. I saw a video yesterday of a woman talking about how a guy said, "Excuse me, miss," to her in a mall parking lot from far away, and how she's screaming at him to turn around. I'm missing something about that. Is it where a guy said, "Excuse me, miss," and she started like screaming at him to turn around or walk away or something? I'm missing something. Oh, okay. So I have seen this. So my favorite was someone replied to a thread after the woman who approached a couple guys in the car had been following her after she gave the man a chance to talk. They explained it. So what it was is that there's these couple guys, they were like honking her horn, trying to get this girl's attention. So finally she comes to a stoplight, puts the car in park, goes back there and starts screaming at these guys. I believe I'm not okay. So, the video is not intended. It's to be like, hey, look, this is how women behave. I can't prove this, but I believe that video is fake. I believe that it was like a plastic, and I don't think it really was, but yeah. 80% of women only find 20% of men attractive. So my default was humor. Money gamer be able to slap 9 plus. Game is the most important. But the game's the most important. A lot of men feel like you need money to have game. Maybe that's kind of what I'm doing by just working on building up my business. But the reality is that you just need to feel good about yourself. And here's the thing. Like, I don't. Okay, how do I word this correctly? For like the last 20 years of society, every single television show that's been on the air has had men acting weak and feminine and not like men. Homer Simpson, Peter Griffin. I know I'm using cartoons, but that's kind of how men are depicted: fat, stupid, lazy. Take The Office. Every single guy on there is just weak and beta. And for the last 20 years, that's all men have looked at on television is weak beta males. So being a guy who's not weak, that puts you up there. I kind of want, I think he is. I think Dwight is completely beta. When he gets completely ate up over Angela, the way he acts about Angela, I think is completely beta. He wouldn't have been beta if he hooked up with that other girl. There was a couple other girls that are hotter than Angela. So yeah, Dwight's beta. But a lot of your competition are basically simps, not hard to get into the 20%. So I just DM you. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Do. But that's what created the comedy for the show. Yeah. And so what it is that, what's supposed to be funny is men being weak and beta, but it's just been like, that's everything since the turn of the century has always been men being weak, men being beta. And And if you're a young kid growing up, that's the only thing you've seen is weak beta males, and it has to have an effect. I mean, it's kind of sad, really. So even back with Married with Children, Darcy had yeah. Both Bundy's guys were dumb and sloppy, and every guy Kelly dated was dumb. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And it's funny is that like Married to Children, you can't even put Married to Children on the air anymore. You can't even do it. You can't even have a show like Married to Children. I love that show. Oh God, I love Married to Children. I would, I'm going to stop right there. I'm going to get myself demonetized. I'm going to get myself kicked off YouTube. I just got over 1,000. The next step is to get 4,000 watched hours. So just I'm going to end on this note here. The next mock draft's coming out Tuesday, 6 p.m. It's going to be a longer video. I'm going to go into a little more detail regarding the draft picks. I'm going to go into a little detail about teams that want to trade up, teams that want to trade down. Keys reminded me because he's like, I'm surprised you didn't put Kansas City wanting to trade up. And I was like, you're right. Because I thought I was pretty adamant that I wanted them to trade up, and I didn't put it in the video. And that was a mistake on my part. Because I think Kansas City is one of the teams that want to trade up. I think Tampa Bay and Dallas. So I'm going to go into a little more detail. I am also, I cannot emphasize this enough. I am going to be live for the NFL draft. April 27th, Thursday, the entire first round. I will be here. I will be live. Boofa said he's joining me with a bottle of scotch. It's going to be great. So join me for the draft live. I am going to have Boofa. Maybe I'll have some more guests. I may be lucky to get Keys and maybe one of the other Back Talk brothers want to come on. And, you want to come, you don't have to stay on for 6 hours, but if you guys want to come on and talk about some of the draft picks, I would love that. And hopefully I can do a live mock draft with more than just me. The plan is right before the draft. I think Monday. I may have to switch it up. I'll let you guys know in advance. But I am going to do a final live mock draft, and then Monday after the draft. I think it's May 1st. I have to look it up, but I'm going to do my draft breakdown and grades, and that show's going to be live. I'm not going to do a video. I'm going to do it live. So I'm going to have probably maybe Monday, maybe Tuesday. I have to figure it out. A live final mock draft Tuesday or Thursday, draft day, round 1 live. Boofa's going to be there. Maybe some more guests. Keys, come on. I know you want to join me for the draft. Maybe not 6 hours, but if you want to come on for a couple hours, I'd love to have you. And then Monday after the draft, I will be live and I'll get my draft grades. And then the next couple months, I'm going to try to get different fan bases to come on and talk about their teams. I really want to talk to a lot of different teams. And then probably I think after the draft, I'm going to break down the team over unders. I'm going to do like one video, and then try to get some different people to talk about their teams. I may not be able to hit all 32 teams, but I'd like to get some different points of view. And then after the 4th of July I'm going to start breaking down all 32 NFL teams. I'll start off with Chicago at 1, Kansas City at 32. So huge difference from Leave It to Beaver and even All in the Family. Yeah. Oh God. All in the Family. I remember Archie Bunker. So supposedly Cartman was charactered after Archie Bunker, but yeah. I mean, if you don't think TV has an influence, I mean, it really does. It really does. So My one point is alpha male characters on TV now are to be the comedy to show or to be laughed at. You're right. Okay, I missed that point. I don't consider Dwight alpha. I don't. But is he more alpha than Michael Scott or Jim? Yeah. Out of those three, yeah, or Toby. I really like The Office. I'm not gonna lie. I really enjoy watching The Office. So, like Family, yeah, exactly. And masculine women is something that's not good for society. These boss babes, none of them are happy. Seriously, none of them are happy. There's one in particular. I'm not gonna say she is because she had this Instagram class, and I took it. She's a knockout. I mean, she really is. I you can DM me and I can introduce you to her. And if I showed you pictures, yeah, she's a knockout. I thought she was going to be kind of snotty and stuck up, and she wasn't. She was super nice. She was super nice, and I've sent her a few messages. She messaged back. I don't flirt with her anyway, but she's like a boss babe. And just a few weeks ago, she was like, men don't like independent, strong women. And like, she's just angry, even though like she's gorgeous. She has, nice social media following. She's bitter. She's angry, and she's very masculine, very, very masculine. And she doesn't think there's anything wrong with her either. So if it works out, I got to move the end. Oh God, move. Okay. Yeah. I need to coordinate more because it's less than a month away. Bufa is 100% on board, even though his wife will probably divorce him for hanging out with me, but he is on board for the draft. He said he's going to do the whole first round with me with a bottle of scotch. I'm going to see if I can get him to do shots. I don't drink anymore, so I'm not going to be drinking. I'm going to say, because I don't want to go off political, is to be consistent. Don't be hypocrites. And if you don't like certain characteristics, then when away. Dude, I actually thought maybe I should do a second YouTube channel and talk about this stuff because Keys nails it. Because here's the thing. What women want in men, they adapt that characteristic, but then they say they want something completely different. All right. They say they want something completely different. But yeah, exactly. Masculine women want masculine men. But oh God, you know what? I'm gonna pass. But no, your Key's 1000% correct. It's funny because even though you're married, you could teach a lot to men. You could teach a lot to men. Men are single like myself. So the men that don't want these women, it's because men don't want a conflict at home. Home is for peace, and those women don't. No, exactly. Like this particular girl. And by the way, DM me. I don't want to say on here because I took her. She had like a free Instagram class, and I was like, look, I know nothing about Instagram, and she pointed out some things, and then she tries to sell like a paid for class, which I didn't sign up for, of course. But we she follows me, I follow her. She's a knockout. I mean, she really is. But she's also somebody that is doesn't have that chill thing. She's the boss babe. And that's also why she's I think she's 38 and single. I know she's over 30. I don't know how old. I may be lying about 38. So yeah. All right. So at that point, I'm going to end. Guys, check out my latest mock draft Tuesday, 6 p.m. It's going to be a little longer. The last two videos have been under 5 minutes. I think this last one's actually under 4. This one's going to have me talking. I want to go in a little more detail regarding the draft picks. I don't know how long it's going to be. I'm going to try to keep it under 15 minutes, but I do want to go over some more information. So it's going to be a longer video. Do check it out. And then I'll be back next Friday. Guys, have a great weekend. I'll see you next Friday.